That was awesome. Today we're going to be talking about the book of Daniel, chapter 2. And I shared what was probably too long of a spiel with David yesterday after he's like, what's the title of your sermon? And he said, well, just let me tell you all about it. And he came up with this, and I think it's awesome. So I got really excited about that. Trusting the known God with the unknown future. Today we're hearing about King Nebuchadnezzar in chapter 2. But I really want to focus in on our need to know the future. Our society is pretty obsessed with it. I am actually too. I can't actually calm down about the plan. I have a really hard time just chilling. Unless that is the plan. I'm always constantly trying to coordinate what we're going to be doing next. I am the worst guy to hang out with and just chill because what are we doing? What's next? I need to know the plan. But why is it that we need to know the plan? Because it's greater than just me. I think all people want to know the plan. If you think about it, it's a huge moneymaker in our society. Like palm readers, they make money. People go pay them money to tell them what's going to happen. What's my future look like? Or gambling, these things are, sure, just more for fun, but when the guy's right consistently, we kind of look at it differently. When someone is consistently a good gambler, they know things, they know the future, or they're just really, really lucky. It's a $2 billion industry, knowing the future. This stuff sells. There's a book, I forget the name, but celebrities write what they think what life's going to be like in 1,000 years. What our society will be like in 1,000 years, and it sells like crazy. I think mostly because people are interested in what celebrities think, but also just predicting the future, knowing the future, having an idea of what's going to happen. This stuff sells. This stuff sells and makes crazy money. Attempting to predict the future is something we think about, we pay money to know, and I want us to wrap our mind around that. Why is it that we feel we need to know the future? Some people say, you've probably heard before, knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. And it's interesting, as we look at Daniel chapter 2, King Nebuchadnezzar is the world ruler at the time. So he should know things. He has a lot of power. And this is going to be on the setting a little bit. This is all about him trying to know the future, to know what's going to happen. And that's what Daniel's writing about today. He wants to know, King Nebuchadnezzar wants to know who's going to come after him, who's going to be the next world ruler. And Daniel is a prophet. He's a wise man in Babylon. But the first thing I want us to glean from today's text, right before we jump into it, is the future is unknown to us. It is impossible for us to predict the future. As human beings, it is impossible for us to predict the future. Let's begin here, Daniel 2, 1 and 2. It'll be up on the screen. In the second year of his reign, Nebuchadnezzar had dreams. His mind was troubled, and he could not sleep. So the king summoned the magicians, enchanters, sorcerers, and astrologers to tell them what he had dreamed. So they came in and stood before the king. So the king is troubled, he can't sleep, but he's got an awesome payroll. He's in charge of everybody, so he brings in this team here of wise people. If anybody is going to be able to predict the future, it's these guys. But also, just as like an adult man, to bring in these kind of people, the people on his payroll to predict his bad dream, I feel like that's almost kind of silly. You have to imagine the kind of stress he was under. Because I have bad dreams all the time. Usually just turn on the TV and go back to sleep. But this guy is using his power to bring in people and have them tell him his dream. He must be very, very stressed. Very stressed. In fact, so stressed, he tells the wise men to predict his dream, and they say, actually, we can't do this. We're unable to tell you what he dreamed. Because he wanted them to just tell him what he dreamed. Not him explain it and then try and interpret it. It's like they were to read his mind. He said, no, actually, you're asking too much. We can't do that. No wise man can do that. And no king asks that. He's very upset after this. He orders that all wise men in Babylon be taken out, be slaughtered, he wants them all out of there. But this is his cream of the crop he's brought in. Let's look at verse 10. The astrologers answer the king, "There is no one on earth who can do this," what the king asks. "No one, however great and mighty, has ever asked such a thing of a magician or an enchanter or an astrologer." Remember, the future is unknown to us. That's what I want us to glean from the first part of this text. The future is unknown to us. Solomon in Ecclesiastes 7 says, "When times are good, be happy. When times are bad, consider God has made the one as well as the other. Therefore, a man cannot discover anything about his future." A man cannot discover anything about his future. The future is unknown to us. So why is it that we keep trying? How does this industry make so much money? We already know we can't predict the future. What is our obsession with knowing? We often behave, we don't have the same sort of power that King Nebuchadnezzar does, but we behave like him. We'll do almost anything to know the future, to know our future, to be in control of our future. I feel like that a lot of times. I will do anything to figure out what's going to happen. What's going to happen? So silly. I wrote a couple of these down. People have a lot of silly ways of trying to predict the future. In ancient times, there was people called the oracles, and they were the intermediary interpreters of the gods to the human population. And they would get high. They would call it a hypnotic state, but interpret people's futures. This is what they would do. They would get in a hypnotic state and tell people about what's going to happen in the future. In Roman times, there was another really silly one. People call it prophecy by chicken. They would put food in a cage, and if the chicken ate it intensively, it'd be like, "Oh, that's a good sign. This is a good omen." And if he wasn't interested, it was a really bad sign. This is how they determined their future. We've always wanted to know what is the future. That's a very foul way. Probably not very successful to know the future. It's like an 8-ball or something, even worse. I think often we want to know the future because we're constantly living in fear. We don't trust God. We don't trust that he's going to do what he says he's going to do and what his promises are. Or we don't trust that we've obeyed him like he's called us to. We're living in fear. What's going to be my punishment? What's going to happen to me next? How can I control it or avoid it? I remember when I was younger, I used to ask my parents all the time, like, "Hey, when we get here, is this going to happen? Or, hey, are we going to go here today? Are we going to do this?" Like my constant, incessant need to know the plan. And they'd say, "Well, we'll see." Oh man, that was the worst answer. I'd say, "We won't see." "No, we won't. We won't see. I don't want to know. We're not going. I don't want to go. Here's where I would throw a fit or do something irrational. I don't want to wait and see. I want to know right now. I want to know right now." So let's go back to our text here. The Chaldeans are saying to the king, "The future is unknown to us. You can't ask that of us." So this leads me to my second part today. The future is well known to God. The future is well known to God. Let's look at verse 15. I'm going to jump down here a little bit. He asked the king's officer, "Why did the king issue such a harsh decree?" He's talking about all the wise men being killed. So I'm sorry. The king's officer, "Why did the king issue such a harsh decree?" Arioch then explained the matter to Daniel. At this, Daniel went into the king and asked for time, so that he might interpret the dream for him. Then Daniel returned to his house and explained the matter to his friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. He urged them to plead for mercy from God of heaven concerning this mystery, so that he and his friends might not be executed with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. During the night, the mystery was revealed to Daniel in a vision. Then Daniel praised the God of heaven and said, "Praise be to the name of God forever and ever. Wisdom and power are his. He changes time and seasons. He deposes kings and raises up others. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with him. I thank and praise you, God of my ancestors. You have given me wisdom and power. You have made known to me what we asked of you. You have made known to me the dream of the king. So Daniel is obviously one of these wise men, ordered to be killed, but he's a prophet. And notice it says vision here in the text. He wasn't, we assume this isn't a dream, it's a vision, he's awake. This comes after his prayers. But Daniel has the boldness to ask the king's guard, why is the king so urgent about this? What is troubling him so? Give me some time. Give me some time. It's a very confident man. We already know we can't know the future. What's going on with Daniel? Why does he think he's going to be able to do this? And what he does is he essentially calls a prayer meeting. He gets his people together and says, let's beg for mercy. Let's beg that God reveals this mystery to us. Daniel knows the future is well known to God. And here, his confidence comes from his faith. And God is who he says he's going to be. God always comes through for us. He knows who the real king is. He trusts God, and he instructs Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah to plead for mercy so this mystery will be revealed to them. This is some sort of miracle that Daniel finds out. It's only by God. The future is well known to God. This is to be our acknowledgement of our relationship with Christ. When we face trials, when we face these things, what do? We pray. We don't really know much. We don't know anything. We can't predict our future. Hold on, King's Guard, give me a second. I just need to pray. It's not very often that we approach things like that. Psalm 139. It won't be up on the screen, but I'll read it for us. You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways. Before a word is on my tongue, you, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain. Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make a bed in the depths, you are there. If I rise on the wings of the dawn, if I settle on the far side of the sea, even there your hand will guide me. Your right hand hold me fast. If I say, surely the darkness will hide me, and the light become night around me, even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day, for darkness is light to you. The psalm continues, but here we're getting the idea God knows everything. God knows everything. Daniel is comfortable putting his faith here in this omniscient, all-knowing God. So what do we see? This is the third certainty we can glean from today's text. We don't know things. The future is unknown to us. The future is well known to God, but the future is made known to us. Let's look at verse 26, chapter 2, Daniel. The king asked Daniel, are you able to tell me what I saw in my dream and interpret it? Daniel replied, no wise man, enchanter, magician, or diviner can explain the king's mystery he asked about. But there is a God in heaven who reveals mysteries. He has shown King Nebuchadnezzar what will happen in days to come. Your dream and visions that passed through your mind as you were lying there in bed are these. As your majesty was lying there, your mind turned to things to come, and the revealer of mysteries showed you everything that is going to happen. As for me, the mystery has been revealed to me, not because I have greater wisdom than anyone else alive, but so that your majesty may know the interpretation, and that you may understand what went through your mind. You see, God made known the future. God made known to Nebuchadnezzar and to Daniel a limited amount here. We don't know everything. He gives us his word. He tells us a lot of things. He makes things known to us this way. 1/4 of the Bible is prophecy. And it's very specific. No other religion, or like the Quran, or these things, they aren't like this. They don't have such specific prophecy come through. Things are told to us about people 100 years before they're born. Very, very specific things. The preciseness of these prophecies would need to be some divine being. Nobody's going to know this. Nobody can predict the future so well. If we're so lucky to ever get something right, it's usually pretty vague. You got a 50% chance in a bet on a football game. Pastor Skip Heitzig says, Bible prophecy is not a good guess. It's good news to a guessing world. It's good news to a guessing world. Okay, we're moving on to our fourth certainty I would like to glean from today's text. The future makes God known to us. These prophecies revealed make God known to us. Here's a big chunk I'm going to read. It'll be up on the screen. We'll finish out the story here, Daniel 31 through 49. Your Majesty looked, and there before you stood a large statue, an enormous, dazzling statue. Awesome in appearance, the head of the statue is made of pure gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly baked clay. While you were watching, a rock was cut out, but not by human hands. It struck the statue on its feet of iron clay and smashed them. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were all broken to pieces and became like chaff on the threshing floor in the summer. The wind swept away without leaving a trace. But the rock that struck the statue became a huge mountain and filled the whole earth. This was a dream, and now we will interpret it to the king. Your Majesty, you are the King of Kings. The God of heaven has given you dominion and power and mighty and glory. In your hands he has placed all mankind, the beasts of the fields and the birds of the air. Wherever they live, he has made you ruler over them all. You are that he of gold. After you, another kingdom will arise, inferior to yours. Next, a third kingdom, one of bronze, will rule over the earth. Finally, there will be a fourth kingdom, strong as iron, for iron breaks and smashes everything. As iron breaks things to pieces, so it will crush and break all the others. So as you saw that the feet and toes were partly of baked clay and partly of iron, so this will be a divided kingdom. Yet it will have some strength of iron in it. Even as you saw iron mixed with clay, as the toes are partly iron and partly clay, the kingdom will be partly strong and partly brittle. And just as you saw the iron mixed with baked clay, so the people will be a mixture and not remain united, any more than iron mixes with clay. In the time of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will never be destroyed, nor will it ever be left to another people. It will crush all those kingdoms and bring them to an end, but it will itself endure forever. This is the meaning of the vision the rock cut out of a mountain, but not by human hands, a rock that broke into the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold pieces. The great God has shown the king what will take place in the future. The dream is true, and its interpretation is trustworthy. After Daniel tells him the very details of this dream, it says the king falls in amazement. The king Nebuchadnezzar fell prostrate before Daniel, paid him honor, and ordered an offering and incense to be presented to him. The king said to Daniel, "Surely your God is the God of gods, and the Lord of kings, and the revealer of mysteries. For you are able to reveal this mystery." The king placed Daniel in high position, lavished many gifts on him. He made a ruler over the entire province of Babylon and all its wise men. Moreover, at Daniel's request, the king appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego administrators over the province of Babylon, while Daniel himself remained at the royal court. The king falls in amazement. And I could see for many reasons the king is amazed. He was just revealed a very specific prophecy. He made sense of his dream. Daniel knew the details of his dream. That would be amazing. But it's also really great news for this king. Really great news. He is to be the ruler of everything. God has given him this power. The God of heaven has now given you dominion over all mankind, the beasts of the field, the birds of the sky. You see here in verse 47, you see something interesting about what King Nebuchadnezzar says to Daniel. Your God is the God of gods, Lord of kings, and revealer of mysteries. Your God. he says. You see, sometimes this prophecy, when we see prophecy, when we have prophecy revealed, it's to, like I said, reveal Christ to us. People come to faith by these prophecies being revealed. God works in many ways, and one of them is prophecy. One of them is prophecy. Jesus used prophecy. We see that in John 14:29. I have told you now before it happens, so when it happens, you may believe. We have three things we see about Jesus and how he impacts people and changes lives. His impact on history is incomparable. His resurrection from the dead, he defeated the grave, and he fulfilled a specific prophecy like this. It all comes true. You can trust this person. He fulfills prophecy. You see, our relationship with Christ is based entirely on faith. And what do we see in just this unreal faith? And God is who he says he is. God will reveal this to me. And it is only by God that I will get to know this. This sort of faith is contagious. The king, the ruler of the world, is so influenced, there you go, by this. Your God is the God of gods. This proves there's only one God. There's only one God. And this prophecy, this amazing miracle by God, changes the faith of King Nebuchadnezzar. It points Daniel in a high place. I've had a hard time when I've been going through this text to not think about Rock of Ages really specifically. The future is unknown to us in certain ways. Once again, we are in a bit of transition. Pastor Jordan is leaving. And I'll tell you, I've been here for 7 years now, which to some of you that might not seem like a long time. But I feel like we've been in transition every bit of the way. But our natural inclination is to try and manipulate or control things. To act more like King Nebuchadnezzar. Let's figure out what's going to happen. Tell me what's going to happen. I need to know what's going to happen. But what if it looked like for us, it was more like Daniel? We put our faith and trust in God's continued faithfulness to us. We call the prayer meeting and humbly approach. Say, God, what is it that you have next for us? We can have faith in this God who fulfills prophecies through his Son, through so many things in his Word. We can have faith in God is who he says he's going to be. And his continued grace and mercy to us. So, this is just Paul's thoughts and what I gleaned from today's text. But as we go into this time of transition where the future is unknown to us, it's time to humbly approach God and be like Daniel. Say, God, please tell us what to do next. Let us have confidence in that. Let us have faith in that today. If you guys will bow your heads and pray with me. God, thank you for being who you say you are. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for sending your Son. Thank you for always being faithful to us. And now we pray humbly that you guide our next steps. That you're with us every bit of the way, like you say. We know that to be true. And we offer our future up to you. And I pray this on your name. Amen.
Please stand with us as we sing. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust him, how I prove him more and more. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace. Oh, for grace to trust Him more. Yes, it's sweet to trust in Jesus, just from sin and self to cease, just from Jesus simply taking life and rest and joy and peace. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust Him, how I prove Him more and more. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust Him more. Jesus, Jesus, how I trust Him, how I prove Him more and more. Jesus, Jesus, precious Jesus, oh, for grace to trust Him more. There was a moment when the lights went out, when death had claimed its victory. The King of love had given up His life, the darkest day in history. There on the cross they made for sinners, forever curses, blood is spoken. One final breath and it was finished, but not the end we could know. For the earth began to shake, and the veil was torn. Sacrifice was paid as the heavens roar. All hail King Jesus, all hail the Lord of heaven and earth. All hail King Jesus, all hail the Savior of the world. There was a moment when the sky above flashed like rain, when all was lost we crossed eternity. The King of life was come, for in the dark old tomb where our Lord was laid, a miraculous breath forever changed. All hail King Jesus, all hail the Lord of heaven and earth. All hail King Jesus, all hail the Savior of the world. All hail King Jesus, all hail the Lord of heaven and earth. All hail King Jesus, all hail the Savior All hail the Lord of heaven and earth. All hail King Jesus. All hail the Savior of the world. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. The sun comes up, it's a new day dawning. It's time to sing your song again. Whatever may pass and whatever lies before me, let me be singing when the evening comes. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. You're rich in love and You're slow to anger. Your name is great and Your heart is kind. For all Your goodness I will keep on singing. 10,000 reasons for my heart to find. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. And on that day when my strength is failing, the end draws near and my time has come, still my soul will sing Your praise unending, 1,000 years and then forevermore. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. Bless the Lord, oh my soul, oh my soul, worship His holy name. Sing like never before, oh my soul, I'll worship Your holy name. I'll worship Your holy name. Yes, I will worship Your holy name.
Today I want to leave us with confidence as we go. Confidence like Daniel. We have a God, a very faithful God. So we want to go and serve and not stand by. But God is going to come through for us. He will do miracles on our behalf. So I say this to you as you go. And the words of the Father has sent me, so now I send you. Go in peace. Amen. Oh, also very quickly, Jerry Unruh is missing her purse. If anybody has found the purse, it belongs to Jerry.